The operative's hands tremble as he cradles the homing pigeon against his chest, the bird's feathers damp from the midnight drizzle in occupied France. Artillery thunders in the distance, shaking the muddied trench walls where he crouches, his British SOE uniform caked in earth, the tiny camera strapped to the pigeon's breast glinting faintly under a shrouded moon. His breath comes in shallow gasps, eyes darting to the shadow of German patrols edging closer along the barbed wire perimeter. With a swift motion, he launches the bird into the night sky, its wings cutting through the fog like a silent dagger, carrying snapshots of enemy troop movements toward Allied lines. The ground vibrates from an incoming shell, forcing him to press flat against the trench floor, dirt cascading over his helmet as the explosion lights the horizon in a hellish orange glow. As the pigeon's silhouette vanishes into the clouds, the operative scrambles back through the trench, his boots slipping in the muck, heart pounding in rhythm with the distant machine gun fire. He reaches for his Sten gun slung over his shoulder, fingers tightening on the cold metal, while his mind races through the tactical briefing. The camera, a miniature marvel of British ingenuity inspired by World War I designs, but refined for this 1942 operation, would capture aerial images of German fortifications along the Normandy coast. The trench narrows, forcing him to crawl on elbows and knees, the weight of his backpack, filled with spare film canisters and encrypted maps, pressing against his spine. A flare arcs overhead, bathing the landscape in stark white light, and he freezes, breath held, as enemy voices echo faintly, their Kar 98K rifles silhouetted against the flare's dying embers. The air thickens with the acrid smell of cordite, each inhale a reminder of the fragile line between reconnaissance success and capture. Pushing forward, he links up with his small SOE team in a concealed bunker, their faces gaunt under the flicker of a single kerosene lamp, uniforms bearing the insignia of paratroopers dropped behind lines weeks ago. One comrade, a field radio operator, hunches over the set, twisting dials with sweat-beaded fingers, but static crackles mockingly. The first turning point strikes as German jamming technology floods the frequencies, severing their link to London HQ. The operative's eyes widen, a silent exchange passing between them. Without confirmation, the pigeon's flight becomes their only hope for delivering the intelligence on V-1 rocket sites. The bunker shakes from a nearby blast, dust sifting from the timber ceiling, and the team grips their weapons tighter, the psychological strain etching deeper lines into their faces. Instinct screams to abort, but strategy demands they hold position for extraction. Outside, the rain intensifies, turning the trench into a slurry where every step risks a twisted ankle, or worse, exposure to patrolling Wehrmacht soldiers. The team ventures out under cover of the storm, moving in single file toward a rendezvous point, their Enfield rifles at the ready, boots sinking into the sodden earth. The operative leads, his mind fixed on the pigeon now miles away, its camera timer clicking away over enemy encampments, capturing grainy black and white images of tank formations and anti-aircraft batteries. A sudden crack of rifle fire shatters the night. The second turning point erupts as their position is compromised, a careless glint from a wet bayonet blade alerting a German sentry. Bullets whine past, splintering wood from nearby fence posts, and the operative dives into a shell crater. His team scattering, one man's arm grazed, blood soaking through his sleeve in dark rivulets. Survival instincts kick in. He rolls to his side, firing suppressive bursts from his Sten, the recoil jarring his shoulder as muzzle flashes illuminate the chaos, forcing the Germans to take cover behind a hedgerow. Adrenaline surges as the operative signals his wounded comrade to fall back, the man's face pale, clutching his arm where the bullet tore through fabric and flesh, the injury threatening to slow the entire unit. Tactics demand a choice: abandon the injured to protect the mission's secrecy, or risk all to drag him to safety, potentially drawing more enemy fire. The team closes ranks, two men hauling the wounded under armpits, their breaths ragged, eyes locked in unspoken resolve. Humanity triumphs over cold strategy, but at a cost as the Germans rally, their MG-42 machine gun chattering to life, raking the ground with tracers that zip like fiery hornets. The operative's hands smear blood across his uniform as he helps, the insignia of the SOE, a winged dagger now stained, symbolizing the raw edge where planning meets the unpredictability of war. Mud clings to their faces, blending with sweat and fear. Each step a labored push against the sucking earth, the storm's thunder masking their retreat, but amplifying the peril. Deeper into the night, they reach a derelict farmhouse, its walls pocked with shrapnel, a temporary sanctuary amid the European front line's relentless grind. The operative kneels beside the wounded, tearing strips from his own scarf to bind the arm, his fingers steady despite the tremor. Drawing on field medic training improvised from basic first aid kits. Explosions rumble closer, shaking the floorboards, and dust motes dance in the dim light from a cracked window, where shadows of advancing German infantry flicker like ghosts. The team's eyes meet in silent acknowledgement. The Pigeon must succeed, its cameras film holding keys to disrupting enemy supply lines. A propaganda broadcast crackles faintly from a distant radio, Goebbels' voice distorted by static mocking their isolation. But they ignore it, focusing on survival. One man reloads his Bren gun, brass casings clinking softly, while another scans the horizon through binoculars, spotting armored vehicles rumbling toward their sector. Tension coils as the Germans close in, their boots thudding on the wet ground, bayonets fixed for a sweep. The operative's pulse races, gripping a Mills bomb grenade, pin pulled but lever held tight, sweat trickling down his brow. The bunker-like farmhouse becomes a fortress of last resort, windows barricaded with overturned tables, the air heavy with the scent of gun oil and fear. A comrade spots a flaw in the enemy approach, a narrow defile where the Germans must funnel, and signals with a nod, strategy reborn from desperation. The operative edges to a window slit, breath fogging the glass, eyes narrowing on the lead soldier's Pickelhaube helmet cresting the rise, the moment stretching like a taut wire. The climax ignites in a fury of motion. The operative hurls the grenade with precision born of countless drills, the explosive arcing through the rain, detonating amid the German squad in a blossom of fire and shrapnel that scatters them like leaves in a gale. Tracers crisscross the night, the team's Bren gun roaring in staccato bursts, mowing down the advancing line as bullets ping off the farmhouse walls, splintering wood and stone. The wounded man, propped against a beam, fires his pistol one-handed, his face contorted in pain and defiance, blood dripping steadily onto the floorboards. The operative ducks as a round shatters the window frame, shards grazing his cheek, drawing thin lines of red that mix with rain. The curse of war's intimacy, where technology like the Pigeons camera fades against the primal grip of a rifle stock. Smoke billows, acrid and choking, as the Germans falter, their shouts lost in the din, the team's coordinated fire turning the tide in this micro-battle, a testament to Allied training amid the chaos of 1942's hidden operations. As the gunfire ebbs, the operative slumps against the wall, chest heaving, the Sten gun hot in his hands, barrel smoking like a dragon's maw. The wounded comrade's breathing stabilizes, the makeshift bandage holding, but his eyes hold the hollow stare of one who has brushed death too closely. Outside, the storm abates, leaving a muddy field littered with spent casings and the still forms of fallen enemies, their Mauser rifles twisted in the dirt. The team gathers silently, one man retrieving a bloodied Enigma rotor from his pouch, salvaged earlier, now a symbol of the mission's stakes, its brass surface marred but intact. Dawn creeps over the horizon, casting a pale light through the shattered windows, illuminating the operative's face, etched with exhaustion and the ghost of relief. In the aftermath, the operative steps outside, the air crisp with the scent of wet earth and cordite, his boots crunching on gravel as he scans the sky for any sign of returning pigeons. The team tends their wounds, fingers probing for shrapnel, the psychological toll manifesting in averted gazes and clenched jaws, war's invisible scars. A single pigeon circles overhead, not theirs, but a wild one. Its wings a fleeting reminder of the avian spies dispatched earlier, carrying secrets that could shift the front lines. The operative kneels by an unfinished letter half buried in the mud, its ink run from rain, words of love to a family back in England, smeared beyond recognition. He picks it up, folds it gently, tucking it into his pocket, a small act of preservation amid destruction. Silence descends as the team melts back into the landscape, moving toward extraction, their figures diminishing against the rolling hills of Normandy. The operative lingers a moment, staring at the distant horizon, where smoke rises from bombed villages, the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. The Pigeons' camera, if successful, would reveal enemy secrets, but at what human cost? A blood-stained SOE badge gleams dully on his uniform, a mute witness to the night's ordeal. The wind whispers through the hedgerows, carrying echoes of artillery far away, as if the war breathes on, unrelenting. In the fading light, a solitary petal from a wildflower drifts to the ground, settling beside a discarded helmet, leaving the battlefield to its ghosts.